The 2019 offseason has already been one to remember, with many calling it one of the best and most active of all time. With Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins joining forces with LeBron in Los Angeles, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George teaming up for the Clippers, and KD and Kyrie settling down together in Brooklyn, there is little doubt remaining that the NBA is turning its page and entering a full-fledged new era of basketball. Not only is next season primed to be one of the most competitive and engaging campaigns in many years, many of the league's biggest names will be donning new colors come tip-off in October. With the league's top team, the Golden State Warriors, facing massive personnel losses, franchises feel it is the right time to compete and try to build contending teams. Combine that with the new draft lottery system, and tanking is so yesterday.
The New Orleans Pelicans.
This offseason represents a new chapter in the NBA, headlined by balance, competition, and a handful of newborn super teams. Today's free agents are now deciding who they want to play with, not just who they want to play for. This development has created a lot of controversy, as many basketball traditionalists and fans critique the decision-making of these top players, yearning for the days of true competition where the game's greats could be rivals, not teammates. If you have not embraced it already, or have not watched basketball since the release of the first iPhone, welcome to the Superteam Era of basketball. For some reason, players seem to be in denial.
I don't believe I've played for a super team. I don't believe in that.
But today, we will be going through the 5 best super teams since 2000. This will be part 1 of a 2-part series, with next week's video going to be about the 5 biggest failed super teams since 2000. For the purposes of this mini-series, we will define a super team as a team with a bona fide top 5 to 10 player in the world with an all-NBA supporting cast, having at least one teammate make an all-NBA team within the previous 2 years. To qualify, they must also have acquired one of their stars through free agency or trade, but only after the star was already well established. For example, although Kobe Bryant has been the leading entity behind multiple super teams throughout his career, his draft night trade from the Charlotte Hornets to the Los Angeles Lakers would not count as one of these transactions. Furthermore, the primary focal point of the team's offseason agenda must be the deliberate pairing of 2 or more stars. With these constraints in play, I also think it is crucial to distinguish between dynasties and super teams, because some argue there are no more than a few super teams throughout the course of NBA history. However, in my opinion, a dynasty and a super team are not interchangeable terms. Dynasties are a tier above super teams, defined by their dominance within a certain time period, usually determined by championships. Conversely, super teams are not necessarily teams that won championships. Though some of the teams that appear on this list did win a title, super teams are those who simply pass all the aforementioned criteria regarding the players on their roster and the manner in which the teams were constructed. Let's begin. At number 5, we have the 2003-2004 Los Angeles Lakers. Despite their three-peat in the early 2000s led by Shaq and Kobe, they were not considered to be a super team until 2003, when Hall of Famers Gary Payton and Karl Malone joined the purple and gold. Even at age 35, the Glove was coming off 4 straight All-Star appearances, and although he was not his former self, 40-year-old Karl Malone was MVP of the league just a few seasons prior and was still a very solid NBA player. The team was easily considered to be NBA title favorites. Despite some injuries throughout the regular season to O'Neal, Malone, and Bryant, the Lakers won 56 games and were in a good spot entering the 2004 NBA playoffs. New additions Payton and Malone had good regular season campaigns, but they did not perform up to expectations when it came time for winning. Payton saw himself struggle in Phil Jackson's triangle offense and only averaged 8 points per game in the playoffs. Malone averaged just 12 and 9 in the postseason, although he did play crucial defense on Tim Duncan in the Western Conference semifinals. However, things fell apart in the NBA Finals against the Detroit Pistons, as Payton could not keep up with Finals MVP Chauncey Billups and Malone sprained his knee in Game 3. They lost the series in 5 games, and Malone and Payton failed to capture their elusive title, though a 38-year-old Payton got it in 2006 with the Miami Heat. Malone retired after the season, and a disgruntled Payton was traded to the Boston Celtics, as the super team lasted just 1 season. At number 4, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who became a super team in the summer of 2014 when LeBron rejoined the franchise. Kyrie Irving was a budding star who was drafted by the team a few years prior, and the Cavaliers also held the number 1 overall pick in the draft for the 3rd time in 4 years. The pick was no secret this year, as NBA pundits and fans expected Kansas stud Andrew Wiggins to be selected 1st overall. However, with King James back in town, the Cavs did not have the patience for rookies, shipping the 1st overall pick for established stud big man Kevin Love. This super team is often overlooked due to its overlap with the Warriors dynasty, which spanned over the last 5 seasons. Though in the 3 years Kyrie, Love, and Bron suited up for the Cavaliers, they made the finals each year, winning one championship in 2016, which many consider to be the greatest NBA Finals of all time. In the final minutes of Game 7, Love's outstanding defense on Stephen Curry, Kyrie's dagger step-back three-pointer, and of course, the block,
LeBron James with the rejection,
highlight the Super Team's biggest accomplishment in their second season together against a 73-win Warriors team. When Kyrie left for Boston and LeBron left for LA in subsequent years, Kevin Love was left alone in Ohio, and the team was no more, though history will never forget their historic victory in 2016. At number 3, I'm going with the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics, who many credit with kickstarting the Superteam era. They were the first true example of the deliberate pairing of superstars. Some say the Lakers came first, but GP and the Mailman were undoubtedly past their prime at this time. Paul Pierce was already a legend in Boston when the franchise added both Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett the summer of 2007. The Celtics also held the 5th overall pick in the 2007 draft, following a frustrating season in which a prime Paul Pierce was limited to a career-low 47 games. The Celtics, realizing Paul Pierce's vulnerability and desire to win now, shipped this pick, which turned into Jeff Green, into a package for Glenn Big Baby Davis and the league's premier three-point shooter and perennial all-star Ray Allen. Just a week later, the Celtics and Timberwolves agreed on a shocking move, sending MVP and franchise cornerstone Kevin Garnett to Boston for a record-breaking 7 players. The trio won a championship in their first season, and although that was their only title in their 5 years together, Boston's giant offseason trades paved the way for other super teams for years to come. Allen left Boston to join LeBron James in Miami in 2012, and the following summer saw Pierce and KG shipped to Brooklyn, which we will talk about next week. At number 2, we have the Miami Heat, who became a super team after LeBron's infamous decision in July 2010. This move shocked many, as LeBron appeared to be destined to spend his career in his hometown Northeast Ohio, but instead teamed up with close friend Dwayne Wade in South Beach.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
2 days after the decision, the Raptors and Heat agreed to a sign-and-trade that sent Chris Bosh to Miami, completing a big three that shook the world. Together, they promised quite a few championships.
not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
LeBron's choice was not well received, and he immediately became one of the most hated players of all time, at least for the 4 years he spent in Miami. They won championships in their second and third years as a trio, coming back from a 3-2 deficit to the San Antonio Spurs in 2013. Many expected them to defeat Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks in their inaugural season, but there is no doubt they are still one of the greatest super teams we've ever seen.
James catches, puts up the 3, won't go, rebound Bosh, back out to Allen, his three-pointer, bang!
The super team was dismantled when Braun formed a new one in Cleveland. Bosh ended up being the only one not to leave the Heat after his arrival, with the franchise retiring his jersey in February of this year. Before we go ahead and reveal the number 1 super team of this era, though it probably won't come as a major surprise to any of you, I want to address each of the 3 newborn super teams that came to be as a result of the insanity that took place this summer. It remains to be seen if these super teams can join the ranks of some of the best to ever be assembled or go down as some of the biggest super failures of this era, which of course we will be going over next week. But one thing is for certain, there is a lot of media hype surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers, Clippers, and Brooklyn Nets, and each of these 3 teams will undoubtedly play a big role in the narratives that underlie the NBA over the foreseeable future. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about the greatest super team most of us have ever seen, the Golden State Warriors. They won 73 games. And oh yeah, then they added Kevin Durant. His arrival in the summer of 2016 sent the basketball world into a frenzy and turned the already all-time great, draft-made, feel-good story Warriors team into an unstoppable dynamo. Imagine pairing the 2 best shooters ever to play the game of basketball with the best defender in the league, and then add one of the most gifted scorers in the history of the game. It's just not fair. As I mentioned, Steph, Klay, and Draymond made this team phenomenal, but KD put them over the edge. They made the 2017 and 2018 playoffs look like cakewalks and easily won 2 championships with their new lead man. In 2019, they could not get it done against a decent but not spectacular Raptors team led by Kawhi Leonard, as just about everybody on the team suffered from injury. This was supposed to be their most dominant year yet, adding all-star big man DeMarcus Cousins before the season, but it was not meant to be, and the team lost Durant, Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, and Cousins this offseason. Many believe the Warriors' time at the top of the league is over, especially with Thompson being out for the year with an ACL tear, but I'm not too confident. They still have Steph Curry and Draymond Green healthy, and many strong supporting pieces, most notably all-star guard D'Angelo Russell. This super team has been dismantled now that KD left for Brooklyn, but that does not mean they won't be championship contenders for years to come. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I put a lot of time into this thing. Please drop a like. Please subscribe if you're new. Join me on this journey. I'm going to keep uploading NBA videos for you guys every week. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next week. I do have some very bad news. My Phoenix Suns are a terrible basketball team.